Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. Derek Entertaining series, who's Nintendo suing or screwing this week? And trust me, Nintendo is out there trying to dick everyone over again because they have a brand new patent that is so incredibly vague. It could basically qualify against like 30 to 40% of video games ever made, not only in my opinion, but in expert legal opinions that deal in these sort of patent cases all day long. And this is all down and kind of following up with the Palworld lawsuits and those patent cases where Nintendo's basically trying to say the Palworld is ripping them off on their already incredibly vague throwing a ball into a playfield to affect things around it patent. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, every single thing Nintendo is doing lately just seems to be absolutely bullying anyone they think could be a competitor to them. It's like they possibly can't stop and just step back a second and think to themselves, is this what we should be doing? The idea comes to their head and they just absolutely run with it, because they're already dealing with two patents right now, which is throwing a ball into a play space and affecting the field around it. And I've shown in previous videos so many examples of games that did this before Nintendo and would have prior art, and we've had a lot of jokes basically saying that would mean that Madden was violating something like Nintendo's patent because you throw a ball into a playfield and you affect the world around you, which would be the game in and of itself. Now that's not the closest example, but it is an example of a point of how vague patents can basically mean anything in a court of law. And trust me, the judges deciding these cases are not technologically advanced human beings who understand exactly how everything works. They are basically just judges that are going to hear a case and decide based on what they think the merits are without understanding how it actually works under the hood. But now Nintendo has a brand new patent issued just a few days ago about summoning a character to fight in a battle. Now think to yourself, and again, it is pretty much that vague, how many games this could actually affect. I will get deeper into the patent later in the video, but basically the essence of it is if you summon a non-playable character into a battle and they fight for you, that's basically the crux of Nintendo's new patent that they were issued by the United States Patent Office on September 8th. Now I'm just kind of joking around a little bit here, but damn, that just seems like that's 50% of every video game ever made. Now I understand it's not 50%, but it is a metric crap ton of a lot of the best video games out there. Think Elden Ring, think Bloodborne, think Dark Souls, think any game, and leave me a comment down below and you tell me what game do you love to play where you can summon a non-playable character in to help you in a battle, because honestly I could basically think of like 30 different games off the top of my head and just rattle them off here on this voiceover. But that is what Nintendo seems to be doing here. They're just kind of playing the patent game, seeing what will and won't stick, and this might even be for a case in the United States for Palworld, because right now Nintendo is just suing them in Japan. But think of how many other people Nintendo could sue with a patent like this. Before you get into the comments and say, but Nintendo would never actually use that patent for a lawsuit, why would you ever think that? Something like the new Digimon game here is going to have riding, it's in the trailer, and that would technically be in violation of one of Nintendo's patents, just flying around on a creature or a mount in the game. Nintendo has proven time and time again that they will do whatever the hell they please if they feel like they have competition in the marketplace that might be taking some from their bottom line. So I really don't understand these defensive Nintendo comments basically clutching pearls and saying, but my beloved Nintendo would never do anything wrong. That's how they operate as a business, and getting patents like this are definitely going to come home to roost in some sort of lawsuit in the future. And I'm not saying that Nintendo's going to sue everyone who has some sort of summon system in their game, but if they feel like it's too close to a property that Nintendo makes, then they very well could and probably will end up suing for that. And do you really want to live in a world where basically the premise of press A to jump could be a patent? Because that's about as common as what we're talking about in the entire summon system when it comes to games. Like I said, Digimon would probably be in violation of numerous Nintendo patents. And summoning characters in the battle, again, is just one of the most common things you could possibly do in video games. It's the video game equivalent if I tried to go to the patent court and got pan left on a tripod as a patent that belonged to me and told every other filmmaker in the world, because that is what I do, you can't pan the damn camera to the left because I own that as a patent. And now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of exactly what everything means, so buckle in. So if you take a look at the actual patent here, outside of a lot of drawings of the Switch and Switch 2, which really aren't important to this whatsoever other than to determine and delineate the fact that this is a computer program, is you just see a battlefield with something affecting it. Seems to be a ball here, but it isn't specific enough to actually have a ball. And as long as the summon can automatically move and fight for you, that would be part of the Nintendo patent right now. Think of something like Persona 5 and the Personas. There are situations in which a battle is going to end, and it's not because you press the button, it's because something you summoned in is going to do do it for you. So is there a situation in which Nintendo could now sue Sega and Persona for having these systems in their games? There absolutely is. Now, does not mean that it is going to happen. It means it can happen. And do you think that something like Persona 5 shouldn't exist because Nintendo somehow managed to get a patent on summoning non-playable characters into a game to fight for you? It is, again, just some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard. And I don't understand why Nintendo is doing this sort of thing outside of maybe someone on their corporate board is insisting they do it. They should spend more time and more money making more innovative games and giving people more of what they want, which is fun gameplay experiences, and less time in a court system, because again, Persona 5, nothing like anything Nintendo makes whatsoever outside of summoning monsters. But now with this new patent in the US courts, an argument could be made by lawyers that Nintendo's patents are being infringed upon by Sega, and that is not going to be good for any creative video game pursuits moving forward. It's going to be absolutely terrible, in fact, because video games at their core are a creative medium. Sure, there is a lot of computer science involved in all of the coding, but all of that coding goes just to deliver a creative experience. Now, would you want your ability to have creative expression stifled because of some sort of patent out there? That's exactly what's going on right now. Because this patent is so broad, I can think of any number of ridiculous instances that would actually be accurate. Something like one of Capcom's Marvel games here with Street Fighter in them. You do summon a character in, they jump in automatically, they at least have that combo attack before you gain control over them. So that in essence would be part of the patent we're talking about here, and something like this game in the future could be something Nintendo goes after. Or if we even take a look at something like Elden Ring here, you're going to have so many different summon mechanics in, and you know full well if you played the game, those summons are going to fight for you without you actually taking control over them. And that again, and we'll get into it in the next scene, is basically what Nintendo's talking about here. You summon a character into a playfield, they automatically fight for you, you do not take control of them, and they can affect the battle in front of you. That is every single From Software game basically ever made in the modern era. Now imagine if Nintendo wanted to make a competitor to something like Bloodborne or something like Elden Ring. Well, they could say you can't have those summons anymore because you're violating our patent, and that could be done across the entirety of the industry. Anytime Nintendo feels like their back's against the wall, in the instance Palworld eating their lunch against Pokemon, they have these patents and they're basically using them to harass other companies and say, you shouldn't compete that closely to me because it's one of those things, I own this genre, you stay the ever-loving hell out of it. And that again is going to just be such a big deal. And there's games out there that I only understand and know about because of reading these articles, where again, something like riding this little winged creature in this town, that would definitely be something that Nintendo would say, you can't do it, because it's an open world and animals are involved. Nintendo could easily come in and try to shut this down, but they could also try to go against some of the Monster Hunter games out there from Capcom. Seems like right now Nintendo just wants to knock down some of the lower level competitors, but maybe in the future if they feel threatened by bigger companies, they might say, you can't do that either because we own the patent. And you'll see here, we're going to go over the actual patent now, and I'm going to break it down for you step by step to exactly explain what it means for everyone. Because trust me, once you actually hear this out loud, you're going to understand just how incredibly weird it is. The first part is just about that non-readable storage medium. Then you move on to performing control of moving a player character on a field in a virtual space. Could be any tactical RPG out there in a world. Performing control or causing a sub-character to appear on the field based on the first operation input. Again, like 50% of any game you could possibly imagine. And then when an enemy character is placed at a location where the sub-character is caused to appear, a battle occurs, just dropping a character on top of another character in any sort of game. You've played these mechanics time and time again, and you will continue to play them in the future, but now apparently Nintendo has a patent on all of them. And if there's one of the weirdest examples I can think of, at least in my head listening to what I'm saying right now, would be the Civilization franchise, because they're basically talking about a turn in Civilization, even though they're not really talking about it whatsoever. And that's my best example on how to explain how vague these patents truly can be. You could basically apply that language to mean anything out there, and if Nintendo's in the mood, they're going to get lawyers and they're going to argue that that language means exactly what they need it to mean in a court case. Maybe it's the Persona franchise, maybe it's Disgaea, maybe it's Civilization, maybe it's another Pokemon competitor out there, but Nintendo just got a patent on basically having NPCs fight for you in a game world. And if they actually tried to force that with a ton of different companies, you can end up in a situation where Nintendo would have the exclusive rights to have NPCs in a game do anything in front of you that could benefit you. And that again again, it's just patent abuse in my opinion. I have no idea how they were actually granted this because there's so much prior art out there. It should have never been done, but honestly, it's one of those weird things. Strange things happen sometimes. But we're done. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.